Hello, everybody. It's a great day to be above ground on the right side of the grass. My name is Tony. Welcome to Disabled Adventures. In this episode, we're going to talk about tools. No, that's not right. We're going to talk about tools. No, that's not right either. And one of the greatest tools I've found that I use constantly, almost on a daily basis, is the memory foam cushion. This thing is the best. I use it all the time. Especially when you go to church, you're sitting in a hard pew, or you go to a restaurant, you're sitting in a hard chair, because you know they make those chairs hard on purpose, right? They don't want you to sit there forever and spend all day sitting around chit-chatting. They want you to get up and get out. So this thing's a lifesaver. Well, it's more of a butt saver, really. You know, and I think of it as my best friend. You know, because this thing, I use it so much, it's great. But the problem is with these memory foam cushions is they get hard as a rock when it's cold. And I always forget and leave it in my wife's car or in my Jeep or something like that. And so when we go to out to dinner or go to church, it's more like sitting on an ice cube, which feels great when you've got a sweaty butt, but doesn't do much for helping with your back pain. But I've done a lot of research on these things, and I bought a whole bunch of them. I got several that are crappy, and I got, this is my best one. It's by Cushion Lab, and I bought it on Amazon. And it was a little on the pricey side, but how much is your butt worth? I mean, really, spend a little extra money if you can and get a really good one, because it'll help you out in the long run, because I have a severe nerve injury in my back. Plus I have osteoarthritis really bad in my back. So sitting for long periods of time really hurts, and a good cushion, it won't take the pain away, but it does help. And the design with the cushion, this is right here where your tailbone goes. So it helps, cradle everything and make it better. So if you can get your really good one, I have a couple of crappy ones that I keep around too. So if I forget and leave this in my wife's Bronco, I'm not screwed. I've got extra ones, but they're not as good as this one. So the next tool that I use pretty much all the time is my cane. I have to have this thing because when I'm in my house, I can grab onto a wall or a chair or a child as they go by, something to keep me from falling over. But when you're out in public and you're away from everything, you got to keep yourself upright. And I really don't want to face plant. It's one of those things when you fall down, if you're old or not, because everybody's like, oh my God, are you all right? You know that you're old. If everybody starts laughing, then you're not. And if I fall down, people are gonna start crying and calling ambulances and stuff like that, because look at me, nobody's gonna pick me up. So I use this thing constantly. I had to buy a special one. This one's, I think, 42 inches long, because those ones you get at Walmart and the regular ones, they're just too short, and I'd be all hunched over, trying to walk with it, and it just wouldn't turn out right. It'd make my back pain worse. So I bought one that was a lot taller. Now, the problem with that is I put a lot of pressure on my hand. And so I end up getting a lot of pain in my hand from my cane, but I just deal with it. It's better than falling on my face. So I have added a extra wide base to the cane. It really helps with the stability, because it has a really skinny end, and you get better purchase on it. Now the bad thing is if the floor is wet, you're whoop, there you go. So, but I use this I all the time. I've got a fancy one that my wife bought me for our anniversary, and I use that one on special occasions. But just for everyday use, I use this one. The next tool that I use, not quite as often, but I still use quite a bit, is I have scooters that I use. I have 3 different ones. I've been disabled now for 7.5 years. So you can get a new scooter, every so often with your insurance. This one and this one, I had my insurance purchased, And this one here, I paid out of my own pocket just because I wanted something that was more compact and I can use. And I'll show it here in just a minute. So we'll go over here and look at this one. This is the Pride Victory 10 mobility scooter. Like I said, this one's probably about 5 years old. It does come apart in several pieces, so it makes it a little easier to pack up and stuff like that. And you got your control panel here. You have the on-off switch. You can select from slow to fast. You got your turtle and your rabbit. I always leave it as fast as possible because why not? So of course it's got a little horn, which who's that going to scare? It did have a light on the front of it, but like I said, this thing's about 5 years old, and so the light has decided it's not going to work. So I added my own little flashlight to the front of it. Redneck engineering, And then, of course, I had a little phone holder. I used to have a cup holder on here, but it broke, and I just haven't gotten another one yet. I usually keep in the basket my charging cord, and I have a strap in there that I use for my carrier on the back of my car when we use that. Most of the time, we just take it apart and put it in the back of the car because it's just easier. So, that's it in all its glory. Now, this one you have to keep. If you plug it in, you have to have it, by the outlet. It's got a battery cover right here, and that one decided to yeet itself off the scooter as we were going down 65 highway, about 65 miles an hour, and you can see it's pretty roughed up and it doesn't fit anymore. So I had to do some modifications to make it fit. So the battery has gotten bad in it. It still charges, but it only lasts about half to a third of the time. So that's why I put in to get a new one. And this one is another Pride scooter. It's the Go-Go. So I almost didn't remember what it was, but it says right there, it says it's the Go-Go. And this one is a little 3-wheeled scooter. And has the same controls and everything. Still has the key. There's where it shows your battery life. You got your turtle and your rabbit, which I don't know why you would take it off the rabbit, frontwards, backwards. This one does have the light on it, still works because it's still brand new. I just got this at the end of last year. And this one has a battery pack that you can remove and take and set it on your workbench, or you can set it, just wherever and plug it in, and you can keep the scooter in your car or keep it off to the side or whatever. So it works pretty good. So the only thing I don't like about this one is it's the 3-wheel, and so it's not as stable as the 4-wheel. You can see how much more substantial the wheels are on this other one as compared to this one. They're just little tiny wheels. So, and I don't feel quite as stable on it. And I'm a bigger guy. It's just one of those things. So I feel more stable on this other one, but batteries are expensive. And after I made my out of pocket, my insurance paid for these scooters completely. I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. So that's a plus. But my favorite scooter is this one. It's the Atto Sport from Moving Life. And it's a completely foldable scooter. It's like the size of a carry-on. And you could actually put this in the carry-on storage on an airplane if you had to. I don't know why you'd want to. It's a little on the heavy side. It's probably 50 pounds-ish around there. So it's kind of hard to lift up. If you had somebody help you, you could probably get it done. But this thing is great because this is in its storage mode. And then you just unfold. Just like that. And then if you do this, you can roll it around, like you would a carry-on luggage somewhere. You can just roll it around, follow you around, whatever, type of thing. Then when you're ready to use it, you bring it in like that. You press there. You press there. It unfolds just like this. This snaps down. This folds out, pulls up, and there you go. You're all good to go. And I think the battery's dead in it because it's been sitting for a while. I haven't really gone a whole lot of places because I've been in a lot of pain lately. And it's just stuff I have to deal with every day being in chronic pain, you know. But once you're done with this and you want to fold it up, you fold that down like that, pull up here, grab like that, and you're good to go. And when you're wanting to put this in the back of the car, it is kind of heavy lift, but they make it to where you can take it apart. You pull these two things right here, and it comes apart into two pieces. And so it makes it lighter to be able to put it in the back of your car. All your motor and battery and everything is in this part. This is all just, I guess, just structure basically in the back wheels and the seat. And see, in this scooter is where the cushion comes in, because the seat on this thing is like sitting on a rock. It is absolutely hard as a rock. It's a nice leather seat, but it is super, super hard. So I have a cushion for my back and I have a cushion for my butt. And I use my good one for this. And it's really not that bad. I can actually get around not too bad. So, and then when you're ready to go, you just put that back together. That, and you're good to go. So these are some of the tools that are good for somebody that has a disability to be able to get out and survive out of their house. So this is just some of the tools that people that suffer from chronic pain or have a chronic illness and have a hard time getting around. These are some of the tools that you can use. And a lot of these tools, if you have your doctor write a prescription for it, you can get them paid for by your insurance. It's depending on your insurance. Like I have a prescription for my cane, but I pay for this out of my own pocket. I'm not going to have my insurance pay for this. It's not that expensive. But for these scooters, my doctor wrote a prescription. They send it in. It goes to your insurance company, and then they have you go to someplace and be evaluated. Now, the first time for this scooter, I had to go through a little more extensive testing, I guess, whatever you want to call it. They had to see how far I could walk, how I walked, how much pain I was in, you know, stuff like that. So they could determine whether it was medically necessary. So I just went and did my best like I always do. And they determined I needed the scooter. And so they went to my insurance. It started around August is when I started getting it. And it was like December 23rd by the time I got this one. It just takes a long time. So if you're coming to the end of where you've paid out of pocket, don't wait until the end of the year, because it's going to be, you know, you may not get it done by the end of the year, and then you're going to have to pay for it at the beginning of the next year. Just like my new scooter, I started that one in August, and I actually got that one by mid-November, but I actually had to call them and find out what the status is, because they're not going to call you. I mean, I'm just sorry, that's just the way it is. And that's a hard thing that the medical professionals, they don't follow up very much. And I can understand, because a lot of them are super busy. We have a shortage of doctors and nurses and stuff like that. So it's not like they can, you know, they've got the time to call everybody, but they should have reminders when something is ready to go to, you know, call somebody. But I digress. As I said before, I've been disabled for 7.5 years. I was pulling a large object into a house and didn't notice it at the time, but later that day I started having severe pain in my lower back on the left side. And this was the day before my 45th birthday. Happy birthday to me, right? So the next morning I woke up, the pain was so much worse, but I'm like, I'll just deal with it. It's going to be okay. I just pulled something. Well, I got hurt on Wednesday. By Friday morning, it had moved down into my groin and was hurting so bad in my groin. And so I told my wife about it, and she's like, well, it sounds like a kidney stone, because she's had tons of kidney stones. And so she knows what they're like. She said, that sounds like a kidney stone, so let's go to the hospital. When we went to the hospital, they tested thinking it was, you know, an infection. Turned out it wasn't an infection. They said it was an injury. And it actually took almost 2 years before I could get somebody to even listen to me and help me understand what's wrong with me. I cannot lift this leg. It just will not lift. I can't kick my foot out either. When I walk, it just drags. And that's why the cane, because I don't want to fall on my face. And I take a lot of painkillers because I'm in a lot of pain. And basically the best way I can describe the pain is somebody just took a knife and went right there, right in my groin, and it's coming out my left side. And that's 24/7. It just never goes away. And then when I'm up moving around and doing stuff, somebody just takes that knife and just starts twisting it. And it just hurts. It just hurts so bad. And that was the first part. And then a couple years later, I started having pain when I was trying to drive. Just pressing on the gas and brake was just horrible, just shooting pains all the way up into my back, all up my leg and everything. And they did the scans, and turns out I have osteoarthritis. So yay me. Then I started having problems with my heart. Then my gallbladder goes bad. While I'm getting my gallbladder taken care of, they're putting a stent to keep the bile duct open so they can take out my gallbladder later. They had to shrink it down. It was like huge. And while they were doing that, I went into VTAC 3 times. Woke up in intensive care, tubes down my throat, wires everywhere. And they said it was pretty touch and go for a little bit. And it was lucky that, the doctor that was doing it, I was the first patient that's ever happened to him. He was able to get a hold of my doctor that I'd been talking to already about my heart. They put in a game plan. They got me shocked, back to normal. And so within November of 2024, I now have a pacemaker ICD in my chest. And so I have a thing called arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy, or ARVC. And basically the right side of my heart grows like a fibrous fatty tissue instead of muscle. So my heart's really weak. So not only do I have my nerve injury, which turns out they said it looked like I had a stroke in my back because they can't even find my femoral nerve on my left side. And it was right in the bundle of nerves at the L2. And they said that's their best guess about what's going on. And so not only do I have the nerve injury, then I have osteoarthritis all through my back with sciatica on both sides. I know I have a heart problem. So I'm just all kinds of screwed. But with this video series that I'm starting up here, I just want to show people different places that you can go and the type of mobility aids that they offer, things to help the disabled, like parking, ramps. Are the aisles wide enough? If you go to a restaurant, where do they seat you? It seems like they see me walking with my cane. I have a really hard time walking, and they seem to always put me in the very back. Don't know why. I don't know if they think it's funny, or it's just maybe that's just the table that's open. But I'd say 9 times out of 10, they're putting me in the very back. So is that something that happens? Do they have like a Braille menu? Do they have anybody that knows sign language? Are the bathrooms handicap accessible? Stuff like that. That's the stuff that I want to bring to you guys, so you guys can have better information whenever you go out to eat, or go to a theme park, or later on we're going to do some traveling, and we'll show, on the traveling part, like for an airline, we're hoping to do maybe a cruise at some point, how the hotels work out, stuff like that. That's the point of this series. And it's going to be an adventure. And that's why I've called the channel Disabled Adventures. So I hope you guys have liked this video. I know I've kind of rambled a little bit. I'm trying to get a bunch of information out in a short period of time. Our next video, we will be going somewhere where we'll show what they can do to help disabled people. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And you can ring that little bell and it'll tell you when I put out my new video. But there it is. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.